Zachary Bai with me here, producing our show. And you brought in one of our top area athletes.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. When you play at Notre Dame and you are drafted by the Giants, you'd have to say, you'd have to say you're one of the top athletes in the Capital Region. He still makes home in the Capital Region, and his daughter is a former 2-time or 3-time Derek Brown News Channel 13 All-Star.
I think
I know
2-time.
Two-time Sydney. Oh yeah, one of the top basketball players in the Capital Region, and Shenenda Hoa proud for sure, and phenomenal job there. And now let's just go ahead and start there because she's a prep school, right?
Yes, she is.
Doing well?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's at Blair Academy, and she reclassified, so she's a junior. You know, technically she. You know, the funny thing is, she's for the last probably 4 years, she's been trying to get me to move to North Carolina, so she could reclassify then. But you know, that didn't work out because this is home, and it worked out this way. So
she's a good player, man. She's
terrific,
and that's where him and I ran into each other down at Dag's facility in Schenectady.
That's right.
And watching her work out, she works hard. She's a good athlete.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Now, and your son's at Shenenda Hoa?
Yep. He's a 10th grader.
No,
actually, it's the first year he's not playing football.
Oh.
He's concentrating on basketball.
Wow.
You know, at 6'4", 155, you're probably more suited for hoop than football at this particular time.
How do you feel about that?
I'm actually okay with it, believe it or not. You know, Dad took the hits, so that's fine. You know, you don't want to see your kid get, blowed up or anything like that.
Well, I was just going to ask you, was there ever a point where you're like, all this conversation in the past 4 or 5 years, is that a trepidation on your part?
No, you know what? Yeah, to some degree. I mean, he was a quarterback, and did he take as many hits? No, but but still, I look at it like he still loves it, and it was his decision.
Yeah.
It's not to say that just because he's not playing it this year doesn't mean he can't play it next year.
Right.
So,
and it was his decision.
Yeah, definitely, it was his.
You're
decision.
not telling him don't play football.
No, not at all.
But I tell you what,
but he knows I'm not upset. That
right.
Football.
Derek, some of the numbers are down in terms of. The Colony program is one I look at. My son's in the Junior Raider program, and the numbers are down there this year. And I think it all stems from all this concussion discussion that we have, and parents at the young age, at the 3rd and 4th grade, 5th and 6th, going, you know what? I just don't want my kid playing football.
You know what?
Or the kid goes out, puts on pads, gets hit, and then doesn't want to play football anymore. There's a combination, but I don't think it's just Colony. I'm talking about across the board.
No,
I think the numbers are down there.
They are down, but I also do think that, our situation, or Reese's situation, was a little bit different, but I think that...
Are we making too big a deal out of this?
You know what? No, we're not making too big a deal, but I'd like to see what the true numbers are, because a lot of people don't realize the amount of concussions in soccer. I think maybe even more or as much.
How about
as
lacrosse?
Lacrosse. There's other sports out there that have as many concussions number wise when you look at a macro view of it, 30,000 foot view of it. I want to know that comparison. Of course everybody thinks football because it is probably the most violent, I would say, sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the one sport you can actually play angry. To some degree, it's definitely a mental game and everything, but you could play it in a really bad mood.
Yeah, that's what I tell my son. When you take that blind side hit, just do me a favor. I don't care how hard you get hit. Hang on to the ball, will you?
Exactly.
Don't fumble the rock, man. At least hold on to it.
That's right, because it's important. That thing is life. Exactly.
What's your thoughts on this Giants team off to a 2-0 start to this season, and they spent $200 million to redo that defense. It was so bad last year, and boy, it seems like it's paying off here in a couple of weeks.
You know what's nice to see? It's in just in sports in general, it's good to see things happen according to plan. Because right now I think this is the time for the Giants to do it, because let's just face it, the NFC East is, fairly weak. You got a bunch of, rookie quarterbacks. Yeah. You have, the Redskins, but again, they're like a schizophrenic team too, but this is their time. You have Odell back, you have Victor Cruz back. Eli, this is their time to do it. And like you said, with the $200 million they spent on defense, it's nice to see that this is actually going according to plan. And, this is exciting. I'm having fun watching this.
So if you want to go to a game, can you just go down there and say, hey, I'm Derek Brown, here I am?
Yeah. No, it doesn't work quite that way. I got to call ahead of time. Brother, listen.
But you can get a ticket.
What have you done for me lately?
That's what it is. Is that how that works?
Okay. Huh? Yeah. That's no different than anything else. Now, can I get tickets? Sure.
Yeah.
I go through, it's a little process, but I got to pay for them, but
right.
yes.
Right. Could you get a field pass?
Yeah, actually, I probably could get a field pass.
A former player, you would think,
go
through the right channel, parking pass too. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I got to ask you, a lot of former players, they struggle to watch football.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm curious, how do you watch games? Can you sit back and enjoy the games? Do you watch it critically? Do you get frustrated watching?
I tell you what,
how much do you watch?
You know what? You go through phases because believe it or not, I probably didn't watch a game for maybe 3 or 4 years after I was done playing.
Not one game.
Nah, not really.
And what's the fundamental reason for that?
You're bitter. It's something that's taken away. You got to think, you're a kid, right? And for me, I didn't start playing until 9th grade. So I played from 9th grade. So what's that, like 15, 14 years old?
Yeah.
Till I was 30. And then to have it taken away, not because I wasn't any good or anything like that, it was salary cap casualty. I didn't get hurt. Even then it still would have been hard, I think, because it's just something that's all you knew at the time. And then, because you're watching, you're like, oh, I can't believe this guy's still playing, and things like that. And it's just, it's a big part of your life. And you think, this is all, you are and everything. You lose a little bit of sense of self-worth to some degree. And you kind of go through that whole process. Now when I watch, I can actually, I watch it not necessarily critical, but I like to watch a good game. I see certain things, and it's kind of funny too. Like when you listen to some of the announcers and you're like, oh my God, he totally got that completely wrong. Like, no, that wasn't a blitz.
Right.
That was actually 5 guys on 5. They just happened to drop it in and brought somebody else. Yeah. And, you get a lot of that a lot of times, but, and then also too, like, oh my God, I can't believe they called that, roughing the passer, really, okay, well, new rules. I get it, but yeah. Yeah,
especially at your position, it's called totally different than,
oh my
than you were
God.
playing.
With that 5-yard cushion thing, whatever, when you did a short, shallow cross, you had your head on a swivel. I also too, I think part of it is, and a couple of years ago when this kind of first started taking place, one of the things that we actually even discuss here is maybe all these bad hits and everything are coming because you have young and inexperienced quarterbacks because they're thrust into playing right away because they're making a boatload of money and they got to get some kind of return on what they're investing in them, and as well as receivers, because Tom Brady's his receivers don't take those kind of hits, right? Eli's receivers don't take those kind of hits. Seasoned veterans, they have this thing called reading defenses. So when your receiver actually reads the same defense as your offense, as your quarterback, those hits usually do not happen. And I think that has a lot to do with it because the league is definitely much, much younger. I think my rookie year, I really probably have to really take a look at it, but I got to think there's probably was not 10 players with like 4 years or less experience. We played, excuse my French, we played with grown ass men, Yeah. And it's a little different now, now a seasoned veteran is, 3 years, like really,
right.
4 years. I have stories where Mario Bates was a 1,000-yard rusher in year 3. Ricky Jackson, when he was down in New Orleans, remember they had the oldest team in the league during that time, in the early 90s, was still call him rookie. Didn't even call him by his first name, and only talked to him when he needed a chew, needed some dip. That was the only time he even spoke to him. So, things are, I'm not going to say it's better than or anything. It's just, it's different.
Talking with Derek Brown. He's in our studio talking NFL football. And did you pay any attention to the feud between Odell Beckham last year, Jr., and Josh Norman? Here we come up on year 2, and you got the Redskins coming to MetLife. Did that kind of stuff go on when you were playing? Like these two guys just they're ready to just absolutely get after each other again here. Who knows what's going to happen on Sunday when we get those guys knuckleheads on the field again going head to head.
Oh, sure. There was definitely a bunch of jawing going on. Maybe not to the extreme that, a little of the cheapness. I mean, I got to be honest, Odell Beckham didn't, I think he pushed it a little too far.
Yeah.
you know, quite honestly.
No doubt.
You know, and Josh Norman, actually, you know, quote unquote, even though he's a bad guy, he didn't look like the bad guy there. He just looked like a guy like, hey, look, I gotta defend myself.
I mean, truth be told, Coughlin had to do that all over again and would have known maybe by one of his assistants giving him more information would have taken him out of the game. I mean, Odell should have been taken out of the game.
Clearly. It turned into a sideshow.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a side. Not only that, though, but, you know, also it is, you're distracted from the team. You know, you can't be, he was a distraction to the team and almost, you know, was taking it personal, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but when you start penalizing your team, that's a detriment. You know, you can't be that. You're either an asset or a liability. He was a liability there.
What was, looking back, what were you most proud of in your NFL career?
Wow. Making it 9 years.
Yeah, that's a long run.
Yeah. You know, even though
for the most part healthy, right?
For the most part healthy. My third year I got hit. I was on IR for 1 year. And came back and played another 5 years. And actually, like, you know, my 9th year I got, because Dave McGinnis brought me back and I was on a roster for like 4 weeks. Didn't really play, but that's how I got my 9th year. Proudest moment though. I mean, I think just being in that locker room period, that's the one, you know, that it's such an exclusive club. And, when I do speak to different, you know, youth sports organizations and really try to get them to understand, like, yeah, you know, I'm not trying to crush anybody's dreams at all, but it takes so much just to make it in that huddle, even for a split second, you know, to take one
so hard to
snap.
get there.
It is so
hard to
crazy.
get there.
Not only just, you know, you don't have to just, it's not just having the physical attributes, man. It takes a little bit of luck, man. It takes the right person seeing you, the right person believing in you, because, you know, I'll tell you right now, I'm sure we all know some people here in Albany or wherever that, like, you know what, this guy has the physique, he has whatever, he could be playing right now. And truthfully, he probably could. You know, either made a wrong decision at some particular point or just didn't have that right one person to, you know, believe in him and say, hey, look, you know, I want this guy. So yeah, it's a lot, man. It's almost like getting, you know, struck by lightning, both in the gene pool and also, you know, the workforce pool.
I got to ask you about the locker room. You say that's what you're most proud of, being in the locker room. An NFL locker room.
Yeah.
Especially in New York in particular. Tell us about, you know, what percentage of the locker room is smoking weed? I mean, what percentage of the locker room? I
gotta go now. See you guys.
I mean, these are the things that I want to know. Like are guys, like, is it as crazy as we're led to believe sometimes? Like the life of a professional athlete, New York Giants, NFL football, are guys out philandering?
I don't really know. I think I actually, to tell you the truth, I think as far as like the craziness partying wise, I believe it's less now than when it was then, because of, you know, we didn't have Twitter, we didn't have that stuff. So guys could probably get away with more. And also too, you know, as far as the weed thing, I think they probably know more about it. I think, I'm not trying to, it's weird. They really are using it for medicinal purposes. You know, not just because they want to get high, but I really do think they are doing it to just chill the heck out, because it's such, I mean, think about this, man. Like, to be a professional athlete, to be a professional football player, you got to understand, unless you're in that 1%, 2%, and your last name is Manning or, you know, one of the top guys, on that team, every Tuesday, which is the off day, all right, they're flying people in to take your job. All right. That 3-year contract you signed is 3 1-year contract. And oh, by the way, they can get rid of you any single day. They can fire you any day. So the pressure to perform, the pressure to play, the pressure to be on the field, it's immense. And I'm not trying to, you know, say like, oh, woe is me, but, you know, we're human too.
Derek Brown, how many NFL players smoke weed? We got through that.
What's wrong?
It's just where it came out of, like, what is that?
I just like asking direct questions, and it's funny.
We love it.
Less than 30 seconds before going to break, and I told Derek when you're doing your live read, already got texts coming in. Love the question.
Yeah.
Wanted to know myself. So why not?
You got it done. I'll ask you this question. You are also a Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
I've heard Lou Holtz speak at functions, including one here in Albany not that many years ago. He was hilarious. I mean, this dude was funny. I'm sure they paid him a lot of money to go on the speaking circuit. So knowing that, what kind of coach was he? What kind of a coach was he to play for at Notre Dame?
Detailed. He was a tyrant to play for at Notre Dame because practices were hell. They were tough. They were hard. I mean, his whole philosophy was, I'm going to make practice so hard that games are a joke or easy. And that's exactly how it was. But it was very, very detail oriented. I mean, hand placement, eye placement, foot, 4 inches too much that way, 3 inches too much the other way. Perfection. That was our main goal was, he actually said, hey, listen, perfection's impossible, but we're going to be so close, nobody's going to know the difference. So that was
I tell you one thing.
Detail.
You talk about great settings in college football, and I'm a Penn State guy. I love Saturday afternoons at Beaver Stadium. And back in the 80s, my job in Altoona when I worked for the CBS affiliate was covering Penn State, and I get a chance to go to Notre Dame for a football game. That is one great old setting going to South Bend.
It's pretty cool. Even now too, with how they added on to the stadium.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because the when you walk into the stadium, that's all new, and so but the inside wall, the corridor, that's the outside of the old stadium. So they just basically kept everything intact and put like a shell and placed it on top of the old stadium.
Did you watch Notre Dame and Michigan State this past weekend?
Yeah,
you saw a little of that?
I did. I saw a little of that. I saw when we were down like 30-7 or something like that.
Getting blown out.
They came back.
Yep.
A couple blown coverages, and we win the game. Yeah. But oh well.
Who's the best football player you ever played against?
Wow, best football player played against. There's been a couple, but a couple stories. I mean, not necessarily me, but just as playing in a game against. I would say probably like a Barry Sanders or
that's a pretty good player to play against.
The other Sanders, Deion Sanders too. He was tough too. Elway. Yeah, a couple of
those are some big names, right?
Yeah, they're Hall of Fame for a reason, right?
And it sounds like you are going to get an opportunity with your daughter gone here at prep school. Sounds like you're getting an opportunity maybe to sit down and watch some NFL games on the Sunday.
Yeah. Hopefully that, but I got a lot of things keeping me busy. Got the new job with the new energy company. I got to plug that, of course.
Of course you do.
North America, plus helping out with a family business, Nasty Athletic Care. My brother-in-law, Scott.
Never ends.
No, never ends. I actually might have to get you guys some of that soap. It's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, good healthcare scare.
We can deal with that.
Yeah.
Well, it's great having you in the studio,
and
keep us updated on Carly, because she's a tremendous player. And so where do you
Sydney.
Where do you think Sydney's going to go next? Can we break that story?
No, not yet, because if I knew, I wouldn't tell you, but I don't know.
Who's offered her?
Yeah, what schools?
Yeah, there's a few out there. I know she gets
all major
mad
Division I schools, right?
Yeah. I say lower level D1.
Okay.
What you call it? What's American? I don't know all the conferences.
America East.
Yeah.
You guess
George
America
Washington.
East. Is Albany on the list?
Albany's on the list.
Okay, even though they've changed coaches.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Well, tell Sydney we said hello, and listen, a long-standing tradition of Shenandoah girls basketball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they crank them out pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a little machine up there. And Jeff, man, don't be mad, brother. I'm gonna come by your office right now, man. Okay. He sent me a text. Says I'm dead to him, and I can't have that. This was totally last minute. You can blame Zach for that, but love you, brother.
All right. And on that note, we've got Hahn and Humphrey coming up next. Zach will do this again tomorrow morning starting at 10.
Yep.
You've been listening to Big Board Sports on 104.5 The Team.